views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hey everyone, I'm the Doc Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS and Open's Channel 67. Welcome to Open BXRX. Hey, coming up on today's show, we'll speak to a healthcare worker and representative of an organization that is providing an important service in our community during the pandemic. Then we'll hear from two young entrepreneurs who are impacting our youth in more ways than one. After that, we'll speak to the head of an organization to learn about the community services they are providing. Then my man Bobby C has the latest in the world of sports. And then we'll speak to the founder of a legendary music group to learn about the actions they've taken to safeguard their authentic sound. So stay tuned. All of this and more is headed your way. So kick off your shoes and relax your feet. Here we go now. I'm your host, Doc Bob Lee, and you're watching Open. It's that live interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. You can stay connected to us through social media at BronxNet TV. Leading things off, our first guest is the director of Take Care and NYC Test and Trace Corps and the assistant vice president of Ambulatory Care for NYC Health Hospitals. And she joins us today to speak about the current state of COVID-19, COVID testing and tracing protocols, the impact of the vaccine, and new developments for Bronx residents to protect themselves and their families. Please welcome to the show, Dr. Amanda K. Johnson. Doctor, welcome to the show. Nice to see you again.
Dr. Lee, good to see you again too. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, I mean, you've been making your rounds. I mean, on WBLS, on BronxNet. We see you all over the place. We see you in social media. So what's happening now? Please tell us about your current role first with the Test and Trace Corps.
Yeah, well, you stated it quite nicely. So I'm a primary care doctor who sees patients in Upper Manhattan and Harlem. And then I also serve as director of the Take Care pillar of the Test and Trace Corps. By now, I'm sure all your listeners know about the Test and Trace Corps. We are the city's community testing and contact tracing apparatus in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. And the program that I lead is called Take Care, and we're responsible for supporting people in isolation and quarantine. That is when they've been diagnosed or exposed to COVID-19, we help them get what they need so that they can separate and not infect other people.
Okay, so now they rolled out the vaccine since the last time we spoke. You know, they were talking about it, but they're here now, and you got about 3 or 4 different companies doing it so far, and there's more to come. How does that impact what we're doing as far as testing?
Yeah, so I think when I was here last time, we were just on the tail of getting the vaccines approved and preparing to roll them out. And now they are here. And even as early as this week, we've been having an expansion in the people who are eligible for testing. So it's a really exciting time, and it means that we are busier than ever. That being said, COVID is still here. We're experiencing a high plateau in the number of cases. So it's still more than what we saw this past summer. And I don't want people to get too comfortable too quickly. It still remains vitally important that people are coming out to get tested, especially in the Bronx where you live. We have our Get Tested Tuesday this past week, and we had some additional testing opportunities for residents of the Bronx. And so it was a way for ensuring that testing remained accessible to all communities in New York City. We still want people to wear a mask when they go outside or when they're around people and they don't know their COVID status. This remains vitally important even after people get vaccinated, because we still don't have everybody vaccinated. We still want to make sure that people don't run the risk of transmitting the virus to other people, even if they are asymptomatic. Washing your hands remains vitally important, staying home if you're sick. And then we do want people to come out and get vaccinated when it is their turn. And happy to say a little bit more about that.
Yeah, please do. But you can still be asymptomatic even after you take the vaccine, because you can still get it and give it. Is that correct?
That would be the concern. And so that's why we're advising people to continue wearing masks even after they get the vaccination. You don't want to be a carrier who inadvertently gives it to your grandmother, your grandfather, especially some of the older adults in the community. Granted, they are eligible for a vaccination. So we really want to support them in getting signed up and getting them vaccinated and protected. At the same time, you know, we know that they're some of the most vulnerable, and we wouldn't want them to be in a situation where they got really sick, had to go in the hospital, or had even worse things happen to them.
That's so important to understand, that you can still get it and give it. So it's still important to remember the 3 W's. The 3
Wash
W's.
your hands.
Watch your distance.
Wear a mask.
And wear a mask, yes. In any order people would like to do. But I always say mask, wear that mask, watch your distance, and wash your hands. It's so important. So tell us about the, during the testing, have you seen any different strains or variants? Or are you just...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So one of the things that we are doing as we test people throughout New York City is we want to actually, at a molecular level, understand what strains of COVID-19 are circulating in our community and how the composition is changing over time. And so if you go onto the Department of Health webpage, you'll be able to see a breakdown of what variants we have running through New York City. It'll give you the code name, so B117 and things like that.
Sounds like
so
a bomber,
as we see that composition
B117.
change,
Yeah, sounds like a bomber, the B117 bomber or something like that. But still, that's why we need to protect ourselves. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, not at all. But, you know, the thing that we worry about with variants is we want to ensure that people get vaccinated, because if there's no human to infect, if the virus can't replicate, it can't mutate, and we won't have emergence of variant strains. What we want to prevent against at all costs is having a COVID-19 strain emerge that isn't responsive to the therapies right now, that is more transmissible, that confers a greater risk of injury or harm. And so right now we're in a race against time to ensure that we can protect people, get them immunized, get them protected against COVID-19 so that the virus doesn't have a place to replicate and an opportunity to mutate.
Yeah, and there's a report that came out a little while ago saying that Pfizer is claiming that it's 100% sure that it protects youngsters, school-age kids.
I saw that tweet come across as well. Yes. Yeah. So very excited to read that paper as well and get educated on it. Right now, our vaccinations are approved, finalized for up until the ages of 16 and 18, depending on which vaccination you're looking at. But can you imagine having something that we'd be able to offer school-age children by the time people are going back to school in the fall? That's a game changer.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people are traveling. What should they look out for? Should they get vaccinated before they travel, or what's the deal with that? Yeah,
so traveling is opening up. And I understand that people have toughed it out for a long time, and they're really itching to see their parents and see their other loved ones who may live in other states. That's me included. Still haven't seen my family in over a year.
Yeah.
If you do decide to travel, and this is a personal decision, we're not recommending that people get antsy and start making moves and taking risks that they wouldn't otherwise. It still is vitally important that you get tested before you go, you get tested before you come back, you get tested after you come back, and that you still monitor yourself for emergence of symptoms. Not every city is like New York City in terms of how vigilant people are about hand washing and mask wearing and obeying social distancing rules. So you're putting yourself at risk when you travel. When people are on planes, remember that is a bunch of air that's just recirculating. So continue to keep your mask on when you're in planes. Wash your hands. I know I sound like a broken record, but these are the things that we have to protect ourselves. Now, you mentioned vaccination and other things you can do to protect yourself before you go. Every New Yorker who is eligible, I implore you, I encourage you, I am happy to answer any questions that you might have or point you to reliable resources like the CDC or the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. But please, I encourage you to get vaccinated. It is safe, it is effective. And as Dr. Lee mentioned at the top of the hour, we now have 3 different versions of the vaccine that will help prevent you from either getting COVID, or if you were to even contract COVID, prevent you from getting very sick and prevent you from having to go into the hospitalization, which is the thing that we all care about.
People ask different questions. Which one should I get? Should I get the Johnson & Johnson? Should I get the Moderna? Should I get the Pfizer? And now they got the AstraZeneca coming out. I think they proved that one too. But where do they go? What's the difference? Oh, do they all do the same thing?
So both the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccinations, that is an mRNA vaccine. So it uses a slightly different technology and it requires 2 doses, while the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is an adenovirus vaccine and only requires 1 dose. Both of them keep you from getting sick with COVID and from having to go to the hospital, and drastically reduces the eventuality of people dying from COVID. And so whatever vaccine is available at the site that you go to, I would recommend that you take it. They all are effective at preventing the outcome of people getting really sick and from passing away from COVID-19. The way that the vaccine distribution works is that certain sites will get a certain allocation of vaccines. So you might not be able to walk up, look at the menu and say, oh, I want this one, oh, I want that one. The allocation is controlled quite tightly. And so, we try to parcel out the vaccines so that they get to the places where they can be effectively administered, that we have the right type of storage, that we have the right type of staff, et cetera.
And it doesn't change your DNA or put a chip in you like some people speculate.
This is a very good question. There are no microchips in the vaccination, so it's not something that anyone's going to use to be monitoring you. And it is absolutely true that it does not affect your DNA. It does not affect your DNA. It does not affect the DNA of a child that you might be pregnant with. It doesn't affect your DNA that you're going to pass along to future children. It doesn't affect your fertility. All of these things I know have been floating out there, and I just want to make sure that people have access to the most accurate information possible. In fact, even with the vaccines, note that the particles that are in the vaccine and get into your body will dissolve them quite quickly. mRNA is meant to be dissolved by your body. It doesn't stick around for long at all.
Doc, anything we missed? Anything you want the public to know that we didn't ask?
So one other thing that I want to highlight, in addition to getting tested and getting vaccinated, is the availability of new treatments if you were to get infected with COVID. And this is a game changer. This is something that we didn't have a year ago. So if you are infected with COVID, you're early on in your course, you just developed symptoms in the past week or so, and you meet certain criteria, you're eligible for something called monoclonal antibody treatment. These are the medications that you can receive. It's a 1-dose infusion. So medicine that you go to a clinic, they will put in an IV, you will get this medication, and it helps reduce the chance of people with mild to moderate cases of COVID from progressing to be severe cases of COVID, going into the hospital, getting really, really sick from it. This is an amazing opportunity available in New York City, and folks who are interested, means you've been diagnosed with COVID-19 and you're in about the first week of your symptoms, can call our COVID hotline. I know I've plugged this in the past, but I'm going to do it again. 212-COVID-19, and this time you want to press 9 to learn more about monoclonal antibody therapy. They'll talk to you about, whether you're eligible, how old you are, what chronic conditions you might have. But if you are 65 and older, that alone is one of the qualifications for this treatment. So definitely if you're 65 or older and have been diagnosed with COVID, please give us a call at 212-COVID-19, press 9, and learn a little bit more about this treatment. We also encourage you to speak with your doctor to get more information about how to connect with this therapy, but you can also call the hotline and just bypass that and get more information and get connected.
Now, Doctor, you're a wealth of information, you know that, right? And we always appreciate your knowledge, and you're always welcome back. Thank you. Thank you. Happy to serve. Want to make sure that everything we have to offer gets out to all New Yorkers, gets out to your listeners, Bob. We don't want anyone to be left behind in the fight against the pandemic. And I'm really so appreciative of you and of everything that people in the Bronx are doing so far to keep themselves safe and keep their communities and families safe. So thank you so much for having me again. Thank you. Amanda K. Johnson, Senior Director of Care Models in the Office of Ambulatory Care for the NYC Health and Hospitals. We appreciate you, we thank you, and we love you. Thank you for your service. More Open on the way, coming up next. fantastic show. I told you it was going to be good. So check it out. I have these new guests, the entrepreneurs, and they're the founders of Water2Kids, Water, number 2, Kids. And they join us today to speak about their water business and how it got started. Plus, they'll speak about the other ways that they're inspiring other kids in our community. And their latest project, too, the Dowe Twins and Friends. Please welcome to the show, Princeton and Brazil Dowe. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Nice
You
to meet
guys
you.
look great. I love those T-shirts. I love your background, and I love what
Thank
you
you.
guys are doing. So tell us a little bit about how you guys got started. What got you into the water thing?
Well, it was basically when we were 7, turning 8. Me and Princeton were just sitting on the couch, and then I noticed that this girl, she just kept on drinking soda and juice, and then she changed and she started drinking water with fruit in it. And then I thought, we were in the car, and I was like, what can we do to help the Bronx? Because back then the Bronx was 62 out of 62, and it still is the most unhealthiest borough. So we were like, how can we help? So we came up with a water brand. Water, the number 2, Kids.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And how did you come up with that name?
Well, we just thought, what can we say? Water 2 Kids. Since me and Princeton are 2 kids and we want to help out, so we said water, the number 2 Kids, with a little cute logo on it.
Yeah, and it has another implication too. Water to kids, like distributing water to other kids.
Yeah,
I like it. You guys are smart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, mom and dad, of course, are helping you guys out.
Yes.
But you guys run the show.
Yes, we run the show on Bronxnet, but we're basically like, we get all the information, we record it, and then my mom will edit it and my dad will help basically.
What kind of challenges did you run into during the pandemic? You know, this thing that just put the brakes on everything in our community, and we had to stay indoors and quarantine and do all these things. How has the pandemic played in the running of your business?
I mean, we're fine. Since we did homeschool, we know how it is, and we know how to work when we're at home. So we thought about it. We were like, kids aren't really learning online because, kids are online. They like school. They like in person better. So we thought about it. We were like, why don't we make an educational tool for kids to have fun and learn at the same time? So we created
look at that. Yeah. All right. That's fantastic. And now you guys have a show on BronxNet?
Yeah.
Yes.
How did that come about?
Well, it's an educational show where we like give information to kids. We do like feeling time to motivate them, like what's news, to tell them like that's what's news, like what's going on in the area.
Like stuff with technology, and then like spotlight where we spotlight other kids, and we do a bunch of things. Yeah.
And then what have kids, how long have you been doing it so far?
We haven't been doing it for that long. I think we've been doing it for like a few months, but we recently I think this is we're just on Monday we're gonna put it up. I think the second time we're gonna put it up on BronxNet.
All right, so you guys are newbies on it, but that's great.
Yeah, it airs every first
kids.
Monday of the month.
Okay, a lot of kids are learning a lot. What stands out in your mind? What's the best show so far that you've kicked out to the kids?
The first show.
The first show?
Yeah, the first show.
And what was that about?
The first show, we had every single segment we added, like I said, we did it. It was our first time, so we were so happy to do it. It was exciting. We just brought it out.
And what happens from here? What's going to be the next show?
The next show is going to be our third show. Well, the second, we have to put out the second show, which airs every first Monday of the month. And then after that, we're going to do a third show. We have to record it, have to look up stuff like that.
You get superstars on the radio and TV.
Yeah.
And you got merch. I like those T-shirts. And you got what's that booklet that you held up?
It's a trivia book. Think You're Smarter Than the Dowe Twins, Learning to Trivia Activity Workbook.
And it comes with the flashcards too.
Yeah.
That's great. So one of the things inside, if you wanted to teach somebody something, what does it have as far as in the flashcard?
It has 6 subjects: science, social studies, language, arts, technology, arts, and music.
And what's your favorite subject?
My favorite subject is science and music.
Uh-oh. And yours?
I like science and art. I also like math. I like all of them actually.
So what are your biggest dreams? Where do you want to go from here? You got the Water2Kids, you got the TV show.
Well, we want our business to be a household brand. We want everybody to know, like even not only in the United States, we want people to know in like Australia and Russia. We want everybody to know, and we just want our business to be really big and out there.
Well, with the water, we don't sell the water bottles no more. Like, we don't sell these water bottles no more. But we still, it's an educational tool that we spread through our platforms. But now we we're gonna start new things with the Water2Kids. So stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. And we just created like drink your water campaign challenge where we want kids and adults to be hydrated and drink their water and stay
How
healthy.
important is that to stay hydrated and drink your water?
It's important because you can have a longer life. You can stay alive longer and you can be healthy and hydrated.
Yeah. So I was sitting at a diner. I think I mentioned this one other time before, and couldn't help but listen to another group of people from another table, and they turned out to be doctors, because I found out they said, if only people would have just drink their water, they wouldn't have to come and see us. I said, they're doctors. That's it. So drink your water. Yeah, it will flush the body out, flush the kidneys out, and everything, and keep things moving. So that's a good campaign that you guys have, and I like everything that you guys are doing, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you guys on TV more.
Yeah.
And then you'll be making appearances in the community. I can see the whole thing.
Well, we actually like to help out the community. We give out food to the community. Like a few months ago, we cleaned the streets. We did a dog cleanup and stuff. Since we have a dog, and we just want to help people out there.
Yeah, because there's people in need that need stuff, so we just want to help them out.
I love what you guys are doing. So
you
mentioned about platforms. What are some of the platforms we can find you guys on?
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dowe Twins, which is DOWE Twins. And where you can buy this workbook and flashcards is at www.dowetwins.com. Again, it's DOWE Twins.
Oh, that's good. Did we miss anything?
Nope.
You sure? You're gonna say,
Yep.
I forgot to tell them anything that we should know about before we go?
Well, actually, we have our own documentary. It's about children with unidentifiable disabilities, since we represent kids and we are the faces of children with unidentifiable disabilities.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you guys so much. And God bless you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
We'll be following you, okay?
Okay.
Make sure you guys stay tuned for our show. It's on Monday, April 5th.
April 5th on BronxNet.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
The
You got the
first
channels
Monday
and
of the
everything.
month.
There you go.
It airs on 4:00, so.
Okay. Now we'll be looking forward to checking you guys out. All right. Thank you for your service. Thank you for all that you're doing for our youngsters in our community, and for the adults too, because adults to drink water too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and
All
happy April Fool's Day.
April Fools. We're not really here. Yes, we are. All right. Princeton and Brazil Dowe, entrepreneurs and co-founders of Water2Kids.
Yep.
Water2Kids. I love you guys, and thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. All right. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Princeton and Brazil Dowe, entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right. And come back again, okay?
Okay.
You got to share everything that you're doing with us.
Yep.
All right. All right. We'll take a break right here. We've got more open coming up next. And drink your water. everybody. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS, and of course, BronxNet. We meet like this all the time. It's a beautiful thing. You know, our next guests are the chair and director of the Emma L. Bowden Community Service Center and the program director for the center's Therapeutic Preschool. And they join us today to speak about the impact the organization has had on our community. And plus, we welcome the whole group to the show. I know them. We've worked together before. They're in the community with their sleeves rolled up, doing great things. Welcome to the show, Patricia Jordan and Trudy Murray.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tell us about it. Can you fill us in on the work that you are doing with the Bowden Community Service Center?
We're very proud of the work we're able to do for the community. We've been in existence now for some 3 decades. In fact, this is our 35th year, and we provide a broad range of mental health, supportive services, and addiction services for all ages. We're happy to say that we began with our preschool, Therapeutic Preschool, and you'll be hearing more about that in detail, as well as programs for our children, older children, adolescents, mental health, helping them with their academics, any type of behavioral issues. And we move on up to the elderly and to the adults. And in each case, we're providing mental health and supportive services to that population.
And you serve mostly the Harlem community?
Well, the Harlem community is our target community, but we have clients coming from all over. In fact, we have a client recently came to us from Staten Island. So while our target area is the Harlem community, we do accept clients from all 5 boroughs.
Yeah. And then Trudy, you're specializing in a certain program. Tell us about that.
Yes, Therapeutic Preschool has been around for about 37 years. I've been at Upper Manhattan for 33 years and with the Therapeutic School for 23. And it is the only preschool, I will say, in the New York City area that deals specifically with children with mental health issues, with behavioral issues, and children with mild to moderate autism. We are who we say we are because we take children who have been asked to leave other types of early education programs because of behaviors that the schools have not been able to handle. So these children basically come with parents who say, no, basically no one wants our kids.
Yeah.
And the kids come to us and we're fine. We know how to work with children. We have a mental health staff. We have an education staff. We have PT and occupational therapy and speech, and everything is done on premises. We have a contract, well, not a real contract, but an agreement with the Department of Education. So they send us kids.
Yeah.
And with the Office of Mental Health.
Now, you're reaching out to the community. You have an open house, or what's going on right now?
Referrals in general come from the Department of Education. But we are doing outreach. People come to us because we have a very big sign. So we have people walk-ins who say, help. And we say, okay, come on in. And but everything has to go through the Department of Education.
Yeah, but you're promoting the preschool therapeutics because you want the community and public to know more about what you guys are doing and what you're offering there at the center.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You have a few honorees that have come through there. Former Mayor David Dinkins and some of the other people that have been working with your organization over the years. Talk about that.
Yes, we have. We've been very fortunate to have individuals throughout the community, not only the late Honorable David N. Dinkins, but also the late Honorable Percy E. Sutton, Charles Rangel. And recently we had the opportunity to have our Humanitarian Awards. And the Humanitarian Awards is geared to honor those individuals who epitomize and practice what Emma Bowen preached. And Emma was about making change and making a difference in the lives of people. And these are the individuals we have honored in the past, including Dr. Bob Lee.
Well, we love to work with you guys because we know what you're doing in the community. We know how powerful that is to help communities and to help others get what they need out of life. It's a community building right there in the Harlem community. Like you said, you don't only deal with the Harlem community, you deal with everything outside of that. Outside of that also, people are just welcome to come in and get the help that they need. And we appreciate you and the organization for that. But getting back to the preschool therapeutics, when does that start? Or did it start already?
Oh, we've been open even through the pandemic. We started remotely, but in general, in times when there is no pandemic, we're open from September through August.
Yeah.
So we present a full year program for the kids. We have trips, we have on days honoring each culture of every child. We work very heavily with parents. And that, I think, is the most important issue, because particularly at that age, parents and our staff need to form an alliance. And we always say, we're your team. And we're going to work with you so that we're all saying the same thing to your child, so that your child sort of gets a consistent message that this is the way things work. But we have children who come in with a lot of trauma. We have parents who've been traumatized. So working with parents and often referring parents to our adult units so that they can have someone to talk to, has been really helpful to our program.
I think that's
we
very
love
important.
Our kids. With our kids, we see change. Kids will fight sort of that organization and, rules, but they are very comfortable with the consistency. They know what's happening from moment to moment. And I think that's really helpful. And our kids are smart and creative and absolutely wonderful.
Pat, take us home and give us more information on where we can go to get the information that we need to get more involved.
Okay, we'll take you home. And also just want to add that we have our addiction treatment services. We have programs for the elderly, a food pantry serving some 22,000 meal packages a year. And all of our services are located in one building, which is the beauty of it. So if you want to get more information and reach out to us, please come to info@Bowen, BOWEN, C as in Charlie, S as Charlie, C as in Charlie.org. info@BowenCSC.org.
Thank you so much. Patricia Jordan, the Chair of Directors, Emma L. Bowden Community Service Center, and Trudy Murray, the Program Director, Therapeutic Preschool. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. And if you're into sports, just sit back and watch, because Bobby C has the latest in the world of sports coming up next.
We built a media network for you.
BronxNet TV.
Come learn in your new state-of-the-art studios at Lehman College.
At Mercy College.
And coming soon to the South Bronx in the Hub.
Inspire with your stories, culture, history.
Your Bronx on BronxNet.
Engage with us.
Connect with us at your channels and at BronxNet.tv.
Learn, engage, inspire. BronxNet TV.
From the Bronx
to the world.
BronxNet.
To celebrate the return of baseball, our guest this morning knows a thing or two about playing here in the Big Apple. He debuted for the New York Mets in April 1965 and finished his career in a New York Yankees uniform in September of 1973. He's likely most remembered by New York fans for his heroics in the 1969 World Series, a spectacular catch off the bat of Hall of Famer Brooks Robinson in the ninth inning of Game 4 stopped the Baltimore rally. The Mets won the game 2-1 in 10 innings. Then in Game 5, his RBI was the game winner of the deciding game of the World Series. 1969 World Series champ Ron Swoboda, welcome to Open.
Mighty good to be here. How are you?
It's so great to see you, Ron. Very excited for the return of baseball here in the Bronx. I think both Yankee and Mets fans are extremely pumped to have baseball back.
Well, both fans of both teams should be pretty excited. But you know, I'm obviously biased towards the Mets, and still an abiding fan of that team, and been following all the changes over the winter with ownership and money invested. You know, all of a sudden I'm looking at a Mets team that acts like their major market, and I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think definitely very promising season ahead for the Mets. And, you know, wanted to talk a little bit about that 1969 season for you. I know you batted .400 in that 69 World Series, but you once wrote in a New York Daily News guest column, I'm kidded occasionally by folks who wonder, how long are you going to keep living off of one catch? My answer, how long have I got left? I know it's a memorable World Series moment. I'm sure you don't mind being remembered most for it.
You know, when you played 9 years in the big leagues, and you had some good days and some really bad days, it's nice that you're remembered for the best thing that ever happened to you as a player in a World Series.
Yeah, I think it's amazing too how quickly time flies, Ron. I say it all the time. We just celebrated the 50th anniversary of that 69 World Series in 2019. And now, of course, we're in 2021. You released a memoir that's entitled Here's the Catch, a memoir of the Miracle Mets and more in 2019. What was it like going down memory lane and writing this book, and then also celebrating that very special season with your teammates 50 years later?
Yeah, I think if I had anything that I was trying to say, you know, sort of subtopic, it was that I'm just a kid that loved baseball coming out of a little town in Sparrows Point, Baltimore County, that the whole process of the game captured me and allowed me to develop it to a point where I could play in the big leagues. I didn't think I brought anything special other than the love for the game and the willingness to work at it. And I felt like as an outfielder, I made all the mistakes you could make in the big leagues, playing in those big high stadiums that were, you know, a little tougher to see the ball and pick it up off the bat. And Shea Stadium was a very difficult stadium in that regard because it stood 3 tiers high and the ball never came out of the stands for the most part. And if you're not used to that, you know, as lighting changes and the seasons change, it's hard. People that came into Shea Stadium who had not played in that high background had trouble. And I certainly had my share of it, but I worked at it. Eddie Yost hit me thousands of fungos, our third base coach. And I think between him coming out there every day and my desire, I turned into a little better outfielder than maybe conventional wisdom would have judged me.
You know, Ron, I think there's a lot of parallels to what was happening in this country in the late 60s and what is going on, of course, today. The Mets seem to reflect that psyche of America at that time, between the tragic assassinations of MLK and RFK, and then, of course, the violent street protests in the U.S. about the Vietnam War. The country really was looking for some type of feel-good story. The Mets seem to provide that. I realize, of course, some of the narrative has changed today, but there's still a lot of unrest in this country. And obviously, with all that is going on with the pandemic, I think people could use a feel-good story again. Do you think that maybe this year's Mets team might be able to provide that?
I know this. I was down in West Palm Beach last week and watched a Met game there. And of course, I've been catching the highlights online. And if you're a Met fan and you're not excited about what's going on here, you need to go have yourself examined. And if you're a Met and you're not fired up by the opportunity that McCann and Lindor and guys like that are going to bring to the party. Pete Alonso maybe figuring it out a little bit more and being the kind of hitter he can be. If you're not charged by that, opening day with with Jake out there doing it at 102, if you're not gassed by that, you're in trouble anyway. And I think they are. I'm psyched about it. I want to see this baseball season. I'm buying the game here in New Orleans. I got to see it because, it's nothing till you run it out there. You can do all this pre-stuff in spring training. Probably nothing more easy to get diluted by than a good spring training. You know what I'm saying? You can fool yourself. You bet. Until you run it out there in games that matter, you don't know quite what you have. And Diaz looked good in the spring and you're like, okay, I'm ready for that. But until you see it in the regular season and see him rack up a few saves and you go, well, now there's the guy we want. There's the closer we want. Till you see all of that in practice, it's just yap. And it's time for the yap to end and the games to begin.
Jacob deGrom, of course, I think for the Met fans today, kind of like a modern version of Tom Seaver. This past year, of course, has been so difficult with all the losses of the baseball greats. And, Ron, as a friend and former teammate of Tom, terrific. What did Tom Seaver mean, not only to the Mets, but to the baseball world?
Boy, oh boy, you're right about deGrom and the coolness that he takes out there. And, Seaver was a chunkier body. Seaver was a bull. deGrom, you look at him and you go, where do you get 102 out of that? It's just his mechanics are so pure. And Seaver was full max effort. And when you had Seaver out there, followed by Koosman in 1969, you knew you weren't going to have too many big losing streaks. You might not win it all, you know, and from the beginning, we didn't know. Early in that season, we didn't know. We flopped around 500 until we won 11 straight. And then all of a sudden, everybody's eyes open, you know. But Seaver and Koosman down the stretch that year, especially Seaver, where you knew you could win with 3 runs. You know, you could give them 3 runs. So here's the pressure's off us as an offense, and the pressure's off the defense, because when you have Tom Seaver out there, the ball's not coming into play as hard as often. I mean, the fact that I make the catch in Game 4 of the World Series with Tom Seaver pitching, and Brooks Robinson hits a pretty good pitch that looks like trouble. It is trouble, and somehow I catch up with the darn thing. You know, that didn't figure. Usually with Seaver, you know, there weren't a lot of tough chances because of the quality of his arm and his ability to pitch.
That was part 1 of our interview with 1969 World Series champion Ron Swoboda. Tune in on Friday for part 2.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WPLS and, of course, BronxNet. And our next guest is the founding member of the 10-time Grammy Award-winning gospel-infused a cappella jazz group, Take 6. And he joins us today to speak about how the group is taking measures to protect their sound after a recent issue with sampling. And we'll talk more about that. We welcome to the show Claude McKnight. Claude, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me.
All right. Now, people are going to grab your sound. You guys have been out there for a while, and they've probably been doing it for a while, but tell us about the latest episode.
Well, wow. So the latest episode, at least the biggest episode that we have been aware of, is the artist Her grabbing a sample from our song Come Unto Me, which is from our second album, So Much to Say. And the interesting thing about that is, you're right, we've been sampled quite a bit over the years, but usually, people go the proper measures and they contact us or the record company or the copyright holder. But I think what ends up happening is people think over time that these songs become less and less known. But they're not, especially if you have fans who have been with you forever.
That's right.
They know the songs. And unless you really hide what you're doing, you can pick up what it is.
Yeah. So if you do more than 4 bars, what's the procedure?
I don't know the exact number of bars or seconds or whatever, but I know that particular song that they used of ours is playing throughout their entire song. So and it's a long stretch. It's almost a full almost chorus of what it is they sampled of us.
And no one contacted anyone?
No, not at all.
So what do we do next?
Well, we've got the first thing you do is you reach out to the artist and the record company, which is what we did. And we didn't really get a great response there. And I understand that. I guess their first response would be, I don't know what you're talking about. That's kind of what happened. And so then you do your due diligence and get people on the case to make sure, first of all, that it's your sample. You have to make sure that that's the case. And so we're 100% sure that it is a sample of us. And so then you go through the proper channels on your end to make sure that you can find a number that makes sense without having to sue or whatever, because no one ever wants to do that. But you do want to get paid for your work. So that's where we are now.
Exactly. So what part did they sample? Can you give us a sample of what they sampled?
Does that mean, do you want me to sing it?
You can.
So it's on a song called Come Unto Me. So anyone who's a Take 6 fan, or if you're not a Take 6 fan, just you can even go to YouTube or whatever and just pull up Take 6, Come Unto Me, and you'll hear a section in the song. It's actually just ooze, where it's and then it goes, for my burden. Right before the For My Burden, they cut it off. But we know that all of those oohs is actually us.
Wow. Okay.
You got me singing early, man.
No, it's good. I wouldn't try it, but you can you can handle that. So it's ooh, ooh, ooh.
Something like that, yes. One of those notes in there is actually
You're too good, see? You're protective. You get all right. I'm not gonna hurt this man's feelings. But no, I know I can't do it. I know you can. But the group has been doing great things for many, many years. I'm sure you're gonna work those things out. You have people working on it now.
We're confident on that. It's just a matter of getting enough information and putting the time in. I think that's what it really is you can have an idea of what something is, and then the other entity can wait it out. We can wait it out and just make sure that it happens.
So what message would you like to put out? What do you want the public to know about this situation or others?
Well, it's pretty simple. Pay for the work that you are looking to use. We've had other very big artists and small artists come to us and say, hey, we'd like to use this piece of your song. We'd like to pay you this amount for it. What do you think? And then you can either say yes or no. If you say no, then they can't use it, So again, it's simple. Just pay for what it is you want.
Beautiful. Give us a little history about the Take Six. You know, you're one of the founding members.
So I am actually the founding member. I started the group as a freshman in college at Oakwood University in Huntsville, Alabama. And that was many years ago. And it started out as a quartet of freshman guys. And we used to rehearse in a large bathroom on campus. And Mark Kibble, who's in the group now, joined us one day and became a fifth member and also became the arranger of the group. So the sound of Take Six is actually from the brain and the musicality of Mark Kibble. So we added one more member. And from there, we knew that we had something really, really special. And became Take Six.
And then you took it from there to where?
Well, after college, we decided, you know, let's see if this is something that we want to do professionally. And so we did a showcase in Nashville, Tennessee, and literally got our record deal the next day. Woo! And the funny thing about that, though, it is, if you know anything about Nashville, you know it's the home of country music.
Yeah.
Although all kinds of music are in Nashville, but it's primarily country. So the vice president of Warner Brothers Nashville, which is the country music division, is actually who signed us.
Yeah.
Well, for many years, we were signed to the country music division.
He probably called around, hey, man, I'm in Nashville right now, but you got to hear these brothers here.
That's essentially what he said. And what he said to us after we sang, and he came up to us, he said, I'm Jim Ed Norman. I'm the vice president of Warner Brothers Nashville. I love your music, even though I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. And that was cool because they left us alone in the studio.
Yeah.
They weren't trying to send in their producers or anybody in to do songwriting or anything for us. They said, do what you do. And
we'll hit the record button. Do what you do.
Yeah, do what you do. So it worked out really well for them and, certainly for us.
And then you went on from there and just touring everywhere.
Yeah, so we've been touring probably 100 days a year for 30 plus years, up until last year.
Yeah. Things slowed down a little bit last year, huh?
Man, they didn't just slow down. It came to a crashing halt.
Yeah.
And of course, we understood why that needed to happen, but, it was something that we had never experienced. And I'm sure, most artists have never experienced that. So we had to learn to accept that as it was going on and continues to go on, but also reach down inside and figure out other things to do and how to, keep each other's spirits up and, do all those things that you said you didn't have time for before. And, so it's been all right. It's been a learning experience.
I know, I'm a community guy, so I kind of put a halt on a lot of the things that I've been doing. In fact, I think the last time we met, I think we did some other stream thing before, but I think I hosted a show for you guys at the Bergen Center in New Jersey. Yes. That was the last time, we were out. That was about a couple of years ago. But yeah, well, what are some of the creative things that you guys were able to do during the pandemic?
Well, like many other artists, we've learned how to do virtual shows, which, is not the optimum thing to do, but when that's all you can do, you figure out how to get that done. So we've done those things. We've also, one of the really cool things that Take Six started doing years ago was making sure that we had conference calls every week, even if we didn't have a bunch of stuff going on. So that's been extremely important during this past year because we haven't been able to see each other. And as I was mentioning, then we were able to lift each other's spirits and, find out what's happening with each person's family and all of that kind of stuff. So the conference calls have been a godsend for us because we already had that going on. Some of us have started doing other things as well, in relation to music and outside of music, buying a bunch of videography equipment and, doing those kinds of things, as well as producing and writing and doing other things for other people. So again, when you don't have the time to do that, you always say to yourself, one day I want to do this. Well, that one day has been a year now. So
yeah, we love what you're doing. We love the group and, we're going to be with you every step of the way and everything that you do. And we can't wait to see you in concert again. Where can we go to get more information on what you're doing?
Well, there's a bunch of places. You can go to www.take6.com. And that is number 6, not the word. Even fans of ours sometimes spell out the word. I'm like, no, that's not it. Or you can go to Take 6 Official on Facebook or Take 6 Official on Twitter or Instagram.
Claude McKnight, Take 6.
Thank you.
10-time Grammy Award-winning group. Yes. Unfortunately, Claude, that's all the time we have for today's show. And I want to thank you, our guests, for joining us, and you for tuning in and checking it all out. You can stay tuned right here to BronxNet TV for continued coverage. For all of us here at BronxNet, have a great and enjoyable day. And always remember this: what you are is God's gift to you. What you make of yourself is your gift to God. So choose your choice and let your choice control the chooser. Remember, whether you say you can or you can't, either way, you're right. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee. I'll see you over 107.5 WPLS. We love you all. Peace.